What's up guys, you are watching TUGGtv, and if you're watching this video for the first time, we are a channel that does all things music, especially metal. Be sure to hit that subscribe button along with the bell icon for more updates from us. Before we get into this video, we have our Bangalore Open Air 2019 ticket giveaway that is going on right now. We've done a video on this a couple of weeks back.
Essentially, this is going to be your last chance to enter this competition because we're officially closing the contest on January 11th and releasing the winners on January 13th. So make sure you check that out. We have the links to the video regarding all the rules and regulations down in the description, and we'll have a card above as well.
2018 has been an interesting year in the world of metal, be it albums, plenty of albums that came our way, be it the bands and all the shenanigans that took place. This video of course discusses our top 5 favorite
picks of this year.
Picks, yeah. So these are essentially albums that we personally like. And of course we've got an individual list which we are going to discuss. If you like any of these bands on the roster, be sure to give us a thumbs up, and if you've got something else in mind, let us know.
Change our minds. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into our top picks.
Starting off with my list, at number 5 I have Bloodbath, Arrow of Satan. Now, the reason I like this album is because it's got an extremely raw element to its sound, especially the guitar tones, yet it's polished enough to not sound like a tin can. Also, in terms of the aura that it creates, is extremely ominous, and I think it's safe to say that this is one of the meanest sounding albums of the year, in a good way. If you're a fan of the band and the genre, you will not be disappointed. Next up, Voivod, The Wake. Now this band of course classifies its sound as progressive thrash, and going by what I hear, it's definitely there in bits and pieces throughout this album. I also have to say that it's quite heavy on the jazz influence, so this is something that has a lot of odd time signatures and interesting patterns. It's not for everybody, but if you have an appetite for this kind of music, this album is definitely one of the most intricate written albums of the year. It's got some kick-ass guitar licks and amazing song patterns in it. Next up, Ingested, The Level Above Human. In short, this is a pure orgy of rhythm guitar and double bass drumming. The riffs just keep coming and do not end. And I don't know what that drummer is on, but that's some crazy double bass drumming and blast beats throughout the album. There's plenty of variation from the vocal perspective as well. Not only does it stick to guttural vocals, but there's plenty of pig squealing in it as well. That sounds brutal as hell for the sound that this album produces. Definitely check it out if you haven't. Rivers of Nihil, Where Owls Know My Name. Now hands down, this was one of the most refreshing albums of the year, be it the production quality, be it the song compositions. It has a good mix of heavy music as well as melodic elements in it. This also is one of the albums that has used the saxophone beautifully in bits and pieces. I also have to say what I like about this album is that there are a lot of elements going on, but they don't sort of cut into one another. Neither does it sound like it's just there for the heck of being there. It definitely has a purpose, and each of the instruments, each of the members sort of breathe comfortably and are doing their own thing. Got to also say the bass guitarist. This album has made a lot of waves across the metal scene, so be sure to check it out if you haven't already. And in at number 1, Architects, Holy Hell. By far the best album in the year, in my personal opinion, of course, so don't bash me up on it. Despite losing their primary songwriter, this band still managed to come together and write some absolutely brilliant music. It's great music, it's got great patterns, but at the same time, it's got a lot of meaningful content in it lyrically as well. Props to the vocalist, his vocals sound great in both clean and screams, and you know, it just sounds beautiful. If you haven't heard this album yet, get it. Definitely one of the most catchy albums, but this is catchy in a good way. If you haven't heard it already, you definitely should get your hands on it. It's gonna make you go holy hell. And here of course are some honorable mentions. Soulfly, Ritual. Beyond Creation, Algorithm. Arcane Astral Aeons by Sirenia. Master by Vindictive Miscreant. Upon Desolated Sands, this one by Hate Eternal. And of course, with all those honorable mentions, we have a couple of dishonorable mentions. I think in my case, the 2 albums that I would talk about here would be Godsmack's When Legends Rise and Disturbed's Evolution. Now, I personally don't have a problem with these bands. I follow them for a long time and I think they're capable of writing some amazing music. And they have. The fundamental problem with the new albums that they've written this year is that they have, in the name of artistic improvement or variation or whatever, have gone on to write albums which are specifically written and designed to cater to a mainstream audience who don't necessarily care about their work and are going to forget about it in T-1 day. And when it comes to the core audience, the sound is a little too departed from what we like. So
for my choice here, I would go with Ghost's new album. Continuing with their black metal-ish looks and 80s sound, Ghost re-establishes itself as one of the bands to be looking forward to. With choruses spread across all the songs in a way that you'll be humming for days to come, this is one of those albums which is musically distinct and it kind of gets your feet tapping and makes you want to jump up and dance. They kind of own their own act per se. For anyone who feels rock is dead, this is the album that you need to listen to. Vain Error Zone. This is the debut album by the band and this 27-minute album makes you keep guessing what is going on. Just be warned that you guys are not going to get it on the first attempt. This is an album that you need to go over and over again to appreciate the layers of music that exists in it and to actually try and get a meaningful sound out of it all. This album is made to shock the listeners and it delivers all the way. So we all know these equations make sense, but what about this one? The album Northern Chaos Gods answers these questions. Not only was this the first Immortal album to come out in the past decade or so, but then also it is the first album without Abbott. And trust me, what a masterpiece this thing has turned out to be. This is an album which is black metal through and through. There are a lot of throwbacks and kind of riffs which remind you of their early eras, but also in a much more polished, modern way. There is a lot of raw aggression that this album captures and it's just riff after riff. So if you're looking for a black metal album which captures the true essence, this is the album for you. So the number 2 spot, punchy, thought-provoking and melodic. That's the only way to describe the new album from The Crown. The Crown is actually a band which is quite old but then hasn't seemed to have got the recognition what it deserves. With this new album, they ensure the fact that this isn't a band which is going to stay in the shadows of giants. Now with a mixture of speed metal, thrash metal, death metal and melodic metal, this is one cocktail of poisons that is made sure to get your listeners completely out. So for the best album of the year, call me a fanboy or being stuck in the past, but I do feel Judas Priest delivers the best album which came out this year. Firepower was one of these albums which is a testament to their 50 years of history in a concised album. So by having a much more lyrical theme towards the social and political structures, this album seems to be much more grounded when compared to its predecessors. When I heard this album, it kind of took me back more than a decade when the first time I was hearing to Judas Priest and fell in love with it. The riffs are punchier, the songs are powerful, the chorus inspires you to get up. There are a few points on this album which might not be the high point of it, but then you need to understand the factor that the rest of the album makes up for this. For my honorable mentions, Hadeon by Pestilence, The Outer Ones by Revocation, Terrorvision by Aborted, 2 by Alien Weaponry, and finally, because I don't want to butcher the name, Obscura's newest album. So coming to the dishonorable mentions, the first one is an album which I was personally looking forward to, Machine Head's Catharsis. With this weird mixture of new age, Limp Bizkit-y metal and kind of lyrically weird things. I mean, this just sounded like something that Rob Flynn just wanted to vent out and then just tried to make an album around it. So now coming to the most dishonorable mention of 2018, Bullet for a Valentine. Let me think how I can describe the album.
Album? You mean whatever the that was?
That sums it up. And that of course brings us to the end of our list and 2018 in general.
Which are the albums you liked and which are the ones you hate? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already and hit that subscribe button with the bell icon. This is TUGGtv signing off from 2018 I guess. So you guys have a metal new year and we'll see you again in 2019. Until then,
stay metal.